Welcome.
Welcome to the latest episode of the Gen Expertise Podcast, Season 2, Episode 51, aka Episode 1. Guess who's coming to dinner? We are your host, Main and Rants, aka your Gen Expertarians. I just made that word up. I don't even think that word
Welcome.
exists
I
up
like
until
it.
now.
I think you just coined a phrase. Yeah, I think you just made that up. That might catch
Yeah,
on.
copyright.
If
What's
anybody
happening,
says
my
that, they
brother?
owe you.
Yeah, they owe me,
Everything's
man.
good, man. Everything's good. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. We got some nice weather today. It's like Florida weather up in New York now. Rain and sun and rain and sun. But today we got a nice day. Played it cool.
Okay, good, man.
But
Yeah, we have rain all weekend here. Yeah.
you went to see that Spider-Man as you were telling me. We got to get that off the bat.
Yeah.
How many G's? We
Yeah.
got to give it to G's. We
How
got to
many
give it to
G's?
G's.
Well, first, before I tell you how many G's, I'm gonna tell you this. This
Mm-hmm.
is the closest in a long time that I've seen a movie get to being like giving you that feeling of reading a comic book almost, right? Like if you know, I'm kind of a comic book nerd, or at least I was, once upon a time. And I feel like I had that old feeling back of like when you're a kid and you buy a comic book and you get it home and you flip through it and that excitement. That's how I felt after watching this Spider-Man. Like this is the true Spider-Man experience. Like this is Spider-Man done correctly,
Mm.
if that makes sense, right? I don't want to give any spoilers. Yeah, I won't give any spoilers at all. But if you enjoy Spider-Man, or you're a fan of Spider-Man, if you've been a fan of Spider-Man for years, this is the movie for you. Like this is Spider-Man done correctly, right? Like I haven't seen anything like this and been this excited about a Spider-Man movie since Tobey Maguire, actually.
First one.
Since that first,
The
yeah,
very
since
first
Spider-Man,
one.
the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, right?
Mhm.
But it was good, man, and I think it's getting close to $1 billion
Dogs, he's
globally
doing
in this
numbers.
first week. Yeah, this first weekend he might be close to $1 billion. So shout out to Tom Holland, he's having a great weekend.
Yes.
That's exciting, man.
He is
But yeah,
doing
it was
major
really
numbers.
good, man. The Hulk was in it. The Punisher's in it. I'm not going to give anything away, but
Yeah.
there's some surprises in it. If you're into comic books, there's a few kind of like lesser known villains in it that. And when I say lesser known, I mean for the movies and maybe for TV. But if you're into comic books, like you'll recognize some of these characters that you're going to see in the movie. But yeah, go see it. I highly recommend. Like, and maybe it's just because I'm a comic book nerd. If you're not a comic book nerd, if you're not into Marvel comics, I don't know if you're gonna feel the same way that I do. But as a comic book nerd and as a fan of Marvel for years and years and years, I mean, since I was a kid, I highly recommend you go see this. Like, it's the best of since Tom Holland has been in 4 Spider-Man movies. This is the best of the 4 to me.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
this is way better than any of those, like the home series we call it, like No Way Home and
Mm-hmm.
Homecoming and
Yeah.
what's the second one? It was Homecoming.
It's Homecoming, No Way
Um,
Home. Um, home ag- can't go home again. I don't.
I think it's not the second one. I think is Far From Home.
Far from yes,
Yeah,
it's far from home.
it's it's Homecoming, Far From Home, and then the third one where they had the 3 Spider-Mans from the 3 different
Yeah, they
universes,
had.
I guess.
Mm-hmm.
The multiverse Spider-Man, that one was No Way Home.
Yeah.
So this one is way better than any of the home. Even though like the third one, that No Way Home, seeing all three, the 3
Mm-hmm.
most famous movie Spider-Man, that was incredible too. I got chills when they all 3 of them were swinging
Yo,
around and
when
fighting.
Toby
That was a
showed up,
big deal.
when I was in the movie
Yeah, that
theater and
was a
they
big
showed Toby
deal.
Maguire, everybody went
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Andrew
That was a big
Garfield a
deal.
little bit, but Toby
Nah,
Maguire,
I can't.
everybody went
I'm
crazy.
a fan.
Andrew
I'm
Garfield
a
is
fan
nice.
yeah. I'm a fan of his Spider-Man too.
He
Like I
was the
can't front. Like
Amazing Spider-Man series,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I can't front him. I wish he had gotten a third one. Like he only got up to that second one for Amazing Spider-Man, but I
Yeah,
wish they had
and
given
his
him a
movies
third
were
one.
good, and they had Gwen
His
Stacy in
movies were
his
definitely
movies
good.
too.
Yeah, his movies were
They
definitely good.
showed. Yeah, man, his movies were really good. So,
Yeah. So
big up yourselves, all the Spider-Mans, yo. Big up yourselves. Except for the third Tobey Maguire. I didn't like the third Tobey Maguire one. I think that was the
yeah,
least popular when they tried
yeah,
to
that's the one
introduce
with Venom when they
Venom.
tried to introduce
Yeah,
Venom.
yeah, that they turned him into like
Yeah,
evil Spider-Man. That one I didn't like, but overall, Spider-Man has been almost a guaranteed success. And I mean, he's from
yeah, yeah,
Queens, but he is a New Yorker, son. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
we always got to support the New Yorkers, yo.
Maybe that's part of the allure to me too, that he's from New York, and that when you get a Spider-Man story, you get in kind of it almost winds up being kind of a tribute to New York too.
Yeah.
So I always enjoy that part too, that you kind of recognize some of the things that's going on in the city.
Yeah, so go check that out.
And
I haven't seen it yet.
I give it 4.5 out of 5 G's.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
that's our first like major four and
yeah,
a
I give
half out
it
of
it
five.
definitely 4.5 out of 5 G's.
Okay, so you heard it here first. And which home is this again?
This is brand new day actually. It's brand new day.
Oh, it's brand new day. Okay, there you go. Brand new day, brand new home,
Yeah,
brand new day,
they're getting
brand
away
new everything.
from the home series.
Tom Holland is loving life right now.
Shout out to him.
So, today's episode, guess who's coming to dinner? We decided to pick some people. It could be anybody, a celebrity, a family member, dead or alive, to have dinner with anybody that you can ever have who lived on the face of this earth. Who would you have? So, Maine and I have picked a few select that we are going to talk about and say who we would pick to have dinner with and why we would pick these people in particular. Anybody who's ever been in existence and anyone who's ever not been in existence in the real world. So it could be a fictional character also.
You know what? That's a new wrinkle for me too. Like, well, I don't know if we mentioned that before. That it could be it could be a fictional
A
character.
fictional, yeah. Yeah, it could be a fictional as well.
So I got Peter Parker over for dinner right now. Like I can
Yo,
be like, hey
son,
Pete,
Tobey Maguire.
swing over here, and nah, I'm not gonna go there. But yeah, we didn't talk about that part. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping that you don't have any fictional characters.
No, I do not. But if you want to throw a fictional person in there last minute, be my guest
No,
because we are unscripted here for the most part.
no, no, I'm good. It would have to be somebody pretty interesting for me to throw a fictional character in there. I can't think of any that I would want to sit down for dinner with right now. I can't. I just can't think of anybody.
Yeah, so the start of season 2.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
we did we mention that already? It's season two.
I mentioned it kind of in the beginning, but oh,
We're
there
in a
you
new
go, son.
season.
New season of the Gen Expertise
It's
podcast,
season
season 2.
2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Episode 51 with
It's the
and
sequel.
and part 2.
Part deux. Deux.
And we're coming up on another milestone. So this is kind of a milestone. This is another mini milestone. We did our
Right.
50th last year, which is our halfway mark. And
Or
today,
not last year, but last week.
yes, last week.
You
Last
said
week.
last
I
year.
said last year? I said
Yeah. Yeah, just last week. I know it feels like for a longer time, but like it was only
Yeah.
last week.
So it was only last week. We did our 50th
Yes,
episode. So
sir.
halfway of our long-term first goal of 100 episodes. So we did 50.
It's the road to 100.
This is the start of season 2 because Maine just realized like we can't just how long will a season be? So Maine said, Branch, we should probably start breaking some of these up. And then the next one after this one would be 52, which doesn't sound like much to many because it just sounds like maybe episode 2 of season 2. But that will be 1 year straight of podcasting for us with no breaks.
Yeah, that would be 52 weeks straight of
Straight,
providing you with this
no chaser.
podcast with, with no breaks in between. We're not missing a week. We don't take off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're the
Yeah,
James Browns of this, yo. We're the
get used
hardest
to
working
this.
podcasters in the business right now. On stage
Yeah,
sweating.
yeah, get
You know what
used
I
to
mean?
this.
Get used to this. Get this work every week consistently, yo.
Yeah, season two. Can you believe it? Season two.
It's kind of surreal. Like it's one of those things when we said like we wanted to like just do a lot, but
Hmm.
you don't realize once you get there and you look behind you and you see how many episodes are like behind that we've done. It's a little surreal. And then that the fact that we did this with no break.
Right,
We
right.
did this with no break.
Absolutely.
Married with wives and multiple children and jobs, day jobs.
Can't forget that. And the day jobs.
Mm-hmm. So salute to you, my friend. So season two,
Yeah, salute
episode
to you
two.
too, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Shout out to us.
Yes.
Big
Word.
ourselves up.
Big up yourselves. Sometimes you just gotta big up
I
yourselves.
gotta say, and before we get into it, man, like I wanted to say something really quick. A couple of things, man. Like I've been seeing online, and maybe this is not just online, but I've even had this conversation with friends where there seems to be like a literacy crisis going on, right? Like where I'm hearing that not only are people reading less, but they're having a problem like with comprehension and understanding what they're reading. Like more and more, from what I'm hearing, people are even if you can read, right? Like, because I think people mistake literacy as just the ability to read sometimes, right? Like, so one aspect of it of literacy is indeed like the ability to read, but then there's another aspect of it which requires you to comprehend what you're reading, to understand like nuance and context. So I'm not gonna go on and on about this because it's not even the topic of the show, but just real quick, I just wanted to kind of once again encourage everybody to keep reading out there. I know it sounds very simple. It's a simple message, man. Just keep reading. Encourage your children to read. Encourage other people you know to read in your circle. If you're reading a book right now, recommend that book. Make it a conversation piece for you and your friends. Because the same way we talk about like pop culture or what's going on in the news, we talk about celebrities. There's a lot of conversations we have that are not really adding anything to us. I think if you're reading something, you should really add that to your conversation. Even if you think the person's not going to be interested, just run it by them, right? Because reading is extremely important, man. There was a time when it was illegal for us to learn how to read, right? So I
Absolutely.
let my kids know that, and that's something I let my children know that there was a time where it was illegal for us to learn how to read. So don't take it for granted. Like read as much as you can. It works a different part of your brain than just even listening to a book or even watching a movie about that same topic. Because you're reading, you're taking it. You have to like kind of reconstruct the ideas in your mind, right? So your brain is working in a different way when you're actually reading text off a page. And then the second thing before we get started is just a rant, man. Like, because I just wanted to say that being a contrarian does not prove intelligence. And what I mean by that is just being purposefully on the other side of every argument, even though you don't even know whether you disagree with something or not. You don't even wait to see if you disagree. You're just waiting to respond or waiting to rebut. That's not really a sign of intelligence, right? Like a sign of intelligence is really taking in information, processing it, and then making an informed decision on what you think of that information. Every conversation doesn't have to be a debate class where you try to take the opposite side of every single thing that's said to you. Sometimes you got to take in information and process it, and even take your time with it if you have to. But take some time to take in what other people are telling you or what you're reading, what people are saying, and before rebutting, try to make sure that you're understanding things in a logical way, and even compare that information to other information that you might have. So this is kind of out of context, but it's just a rant that I wanted to get off my chest before we start.
Actually, it's a mains minute.
It's a main officially it's a mains minute. You're right. It is the mains minute. The rants and the
The
mains minute.
mains minute,
So
yo.
you're right.
What do they
You know,
say?
it,
There's a reason why we have two ears and one mouth, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you should be listening twice as much as you're talking. And I know coming from us, that's
Yes.
a little bit of a. It might seem hypocritical right now, but just listen. Just take
Mm-hmm.
that information. Just get this work and
Yes.
take it for what it's worth.
Yeah. And also, I want to add to the reading aspect of it. It doesn't matter
Sure.
what you read, especially when you're introducing your children to books. We talked
Right.
about highlights. My parents used to get me ESPN for kids because they know I love sports. I mean, Sports
Right.
Illustrated for kids. I'm sorry, Sports Illustrated for kids because I love sports. Maine and I also, we both read comic books when we were younger, and it's just important. It's just as important to read as much as it is what you read, because you need to get that
Right.
muscle memory. You want to get your child used to reading. Start off with something that they like and let them gradually fall in love with it themselves. And and
Yeah, exactly.
that's
Yeah.
our message on
Yeah, exactly. And
literacy
and
from the
and
Gen Expertise podcast.
yeah, absolutely. And that's why a lot of times, like, and it's not the only reason, but that's why sometimes we do recommend books. Like when we talk about different topics on the show, we actually have books that have led us to certain ideas and certain kind of in lieu of experiences. Sometimes books are your way in to kind of a world that you wouldn't otherwise get exposed to, right? And we try to spread that. And that's why we recommend books a lot of times on the show.
Yeah.
They're just trying to add that type of value. But you can add that type of value to your own circle, your own friend circle, your own family, your children, whoever, right? I can't agree more. Like it doesn't even matter what you read, especially for your children. Like just get them in love with reading, no matter what it is for now. And then once they develop that habit, they'll take it from there. You know, you'll be surprised.
Yeah. So there you have it. That might be like our first official like PSA.
I'm sure we've had others. Like we gotta maybe officially
Yeah, yeah, but that
where we
sounded
stopped
real
everything.
like, yeah, that sounds like real PSA-ish. Do you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. Like we usually don't just stop everything. Like, hey, we're gonna we got
Yeah,
to talk to you about this. We
yeah,
got something
yeah.
really serious to talk
It's
about right
like we
now.
walked into your bedroom and we was like, "Hey, take those headphones off. I need to talk to you about something right now." Yes, yeah, Main and Rants. What's up? Yeah, we
Yeah,
got a minute. Have a sec.
yeah.
Have a
It's like
seat.
one of those the old sitcoms. But like, this is a very special episode of the Gen Expertise podcast.
Yes, yes,
I'm
yes,
gonna talk
yes.
to you about literacy. I'm going to talk to you about nuance and
hmm
arguments, you know?
Yeah. And once again, look, you read Spider-Man, which made you enjoy the movie even more, and we both had to read that
Right,
Odyssey and the Iliad and the Odyssey. So there's people that don't know what
right,
the heck the Odyssey is. We had to read that in high school. So, we
right.
have a gist of what the movie is about.
And that's a
Mhm.
perfect thing you're saying, Rich, just to piggyback off that, because like reading also gives you some context for the world around you and even like pop culture, right? Like things will be happening and if you've read enough, you'll be surprised at like what type of context it gives you for what's happening around you, like the type of conversations you'll be privy to, where you otherwise wouldn't know what anybody's talking about. Like you said, like something like the Odyssey, a lot of people won't even know what that's about because they haven't read it. And if you've read certain things, you get a lot more context for what's happening. You know,
Mhm.
just in conversation, in pop culture, in movies and TV, all types of references become kind of clear to you if you read enough, right?
Yeah. But I'm gonna catch that on video because there's no way I can sit in this movie theater for 3 hours, bro. There's no
Well,
way. I'm gonna
yeah,
fall asleep.
I'm
I'm
gonna
too old
try.
for that.
I don't know when. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know when I'm gonna see it. Hopefully, it stays in the theaters long enough because it's really popular, and I'm hoping it stays in the theaters because it is popular. Because they have this habit of if the movie doesn't do as well, it goes right to streaming.
Oh yeah,
But I
like
think
Supergirl.
since the Odyssey is doing you well, I didn't want to say all the movies
Yeah,
that are going
yeah,
straight to streaming, but yeah, I mean,
yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
but the ones that are really popular, they tend to stay in the theaters longer because they're doing well and they're making money in the theater. So I'm gonna try to go check it out. I can't even say when, but I'll try to go check it out in the theater because the experience will probably be a lot better in the theater. Even though I don't know how long I'm gonna stay awake for a 3 hour movie,
Yeah. Good luck
I
with that.
might have to
You're
go
gonna
see it
turn
during the
into
day.
you're gonna turn into a meme, an old man meme, an old
Yeah, I
middle-aged
might have to
man
go
movie
see
in the
it.
movies meme, yo.
Yeah, I might have to go see that during the day. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
but
They say you have to see it
I'll try
in,
to
I
check it
think it
out.
was filmed in 70 millimeter. So you have to see it in IMAX. You can't see it in the standard because they say like half the movie is cut off if you just watch it in the regular standard.
What's gonna? Well, what'll happen when I'm watching it at home if I don't get to the theater?
Well, you know, you can always switch your TV at home to the widescreen. Movies give you the
Yeah, but
options.
I
They
hate
usually
that
give you the
because then
option.
you mean like the letterbox option,
Yeah,
like where
yeah,
like
yeah.
the I kind of hate that because I feel like I guess I'll figure it out,
Because you have
man.
like
But
that
I
that
might
open space on the top and the bottom, right? That it's weird just
yeah
looking
I
at
don't
a movie in the middle of
I
your
don't like
TV.
that. Yeah, I feel like I'm being cheated out of some of the out of some of my screen real estate, you know. But
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
All right, so guess who's coming to dinner? You can start this one off today, man. Who do you have first up?
So the first one I have is going to be a little bit. It might be a little obscure to people,
Of
right?
course it would. But
But
that's on brand for you.
it's on brand for
This is
me.
what you do.
But it might be a little obscure, right? But I don't know if you've ever heard of Gil Noble.
Gil Noble, Gil Noble,
So
Gil Noble. The
Gil
name is
Noble was the
very familiar, but
this might jog your memory, but he was the host of a show called Like It Is.
oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
every Saturday morning.
yeah, on
On
ABC.
ABC.
So the reason I chose Gil Noble is because when I was younger, I used to watch his show, right? Gil Noble just had this way about him. He would interview people and he would always interview like no matter who he interviewed, he was fair, right? Like like it could be someone kind of like, an activist. And he's interviewed like all like the top activists in history. Just to run down the list so you have some context for who Gil Noble is and the type of interviewer he was. Like he's interviewed Martin Luther King, he's interviewed Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, he's interviewed Nelson Mandela, Lena Horne, Harry Belafonte, Fannie Lou Hamer, Stokely Carmichael, also known as Kwame Ture, Paul Robeson.
Mm.
So and that's just a short list of people, man. Like Clayton Powell,
That makes most people's career,
or
most
Adam
reporters'
Clayton Powell, I
career.
should say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's interviewed folks that have had a really significant impact on history, not only African American history or Black history, but just American history in general, right? And global history when you think about it, right? The way he would interview folks would be very even-handed and fair, right? Like he would ask them questions, he would ask them tough questions, but he would always be respectful. It wasn't like in a gotcha type of way. He's just a person that the experiences that he's had and the way he's gone about his interviews is something that I kind of aspire to do it, honestly. Like now that we're doing this whole podcast thing, I
Yeah.
think about him even more because of the way like he's kind of the perfect example to follow. Like you said, on Saturday afternoons you'd watch him, right? And he had like African music playing before and after the show. Like he would intro with African music. And you got
He
to
had
think
like
like
the
in the
drums,
70s,
right?
like 60s and 70s. Yes. It was like
Yeah.
African drums, and then he would even show like either like an African mask or some African drums. Like there'll be African art on ABC, and this is like in in the 60s and 70s,
Mm-hmm.
and then into the 80s, he's doing this, right? So he was doing this at a time where it may not have been super popular. I mean, shout out to ABC for even letting him kind of have that lane. Maybe they were trying to just get Black people's eyes on their channel as well, right? So there's always a profit motive and an incentive, right, for um for a channel to have certain programming. But I felt like at the time he was kind of groundbreaking for what he was doing, right? Like so he would have it would be like very kind of African centered, like in terms of like the presentation of it. But then when the way he would ask his questions was very universal where everybody could understand what he was getting at. He was trying to give these perspectives from these people, but in a way that anybody could consume it. Even when I was younger, I used to always think about like what would I say to him or what type of questions would I ask him if I ever got a chance to meet him, because I would want to get some knowledge from him. I feel like he's one of those people that have a lot of value to give, like in terms of like his perspective. He's like an elder type of person that I feel like if I had a chance to talk to him, he would drop some jewels, so to speak, right? Like he would give me some information that I could take with me, and then I could use that as an example for the way I kind of incorporate, and I would incorporate his knowledge into my life. I think, um,
That's a good one
but
because
he's
that's
yeah.
like
Go ahead.
it's like He's almost like a griot. And if anybody out there doesn't know what
Yeah,
a griot was like a traditional African storyteller who told like the stories through the ages from the ancestors. So it's almost like just sitting with him, you got like 20 guests in one guest. That's the crazy cheat code right there, bro. You just filled up the whole
yeah.
table with one dude just sitting in one chair.
And that's what I mean. I'm glad you said it that way because I couldn't
Yeah.
exactly articulate it in that way,
Mm-hmm.
but that's what I mean. Like he brings so much knowledge and so much experience from others that I feel like just picking his brain, you're getting kind of a peek into a lot of other people that you might admire or a lot of people that you're curious about. He's
Mm-hmm.
spoken to them. He's had long conversations with them. He's done long form interviews with them. He was almost a podcaster and a YouTuber before those things existed. The way his show was formatted, it was very like just him and the person he's interviewing. There wasn't like a studio audience making noise. It wasn't like your typical talk show, right? It was very quiet. It was almost like a very like intimate conversation, which and it felt like a conversation that you were kind of almost eavesdropping on a conversation. Even though it was a TV show, you had that feeling like you're sitting in on a private conversation almost, right? And so he gave the feel of a podcast or like one of those YouTube interviews before that was even ever thought about, right? Like before that was even thought about to be a thing, he was doing that format, right? And now I see it a lot, and I don't think anybody's like kind of thinking of it that way, where they're copying the style of like him or like I don't know if you ever seen Tony Brown's journal.
Yeah. I've actually seen
Yeah,
that.
so
Yeah. Mhm.
his was a little more like studio audience type of thing too. There was a little more showmanship with Tony Brown, but
Yeah.
but
Gilbert's
to
was
me it
more
was very
intimate.
similar in the kind of dignified manner that he would use to interview folks, right? He and Tony Brown was a little more like animated too,
Mm-hmm.
and Gil was a little more like subdued and like a little more kind of he would ask the tough questions, but he was a little more subtle. Tony Brown would inject his, you could tell what he thought of things, like when he interviewed folks. Gil Noble's a person that I would want to talk to because he's been through a lot of different eras in history, including the civil rights movement. So I would just want to pick his brain a little bit to think, especially if I could talk to him now. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2012, but I feel like he's a person that I would want to pick his brain if he was alive today and I could have dinner with him today. I would want to know what he thinks of what society and American society is going through today, right? Like what's happening in our news cycles, what's happening with our politics. I would be very interested to get his opinion on that stuff because he seemed to be a student of journalism, a student of society, a student of like politics, a student of the culture, um, and I would love to be able to sit with him and just get his opinion on everything that's happening right now because there's so much going on, and we're living through these kind of historical and interesting times, right? It doesn't always feel like it when you're in it, but I know that years from now we're gonna look back on this as like a extremely impactful and kind of game changing time for society. So
So,
so yeah, Gil Noble would be my first one. So if you're interested, like look him up because he's a New York native as well. He was born in Harlem,
mm,
to Jamaican immigrant parents. He went to City College, so he's a New Yorker. I guess that's another thing that kind of like made me gravitate towards him because I knew, he's a native New Yorker and he spoke like a New Yorker, right? Like it wasn't like it's not like he used slang or anything like that, but you could kind of tell in his demeanor and his mannerisms and in his attitude sometimes that he's from New York. Like he had a thick skin. He was asking the tough questions, and he kind of gave you that feeling like, oh yeah, this is a Harlem dude.
he
You
was
could kind
very
of
matter
tell.
of fact about
Yes,
with his
very matter of fact.
questioning, and his even the set was like real intimate. So it was like two chairs facing each other, very minimal
Yeah.
set. The set was very
Yep.
minimal. And I think it came on like 1 or 2 p.m. I can't remember, but I
Yeah, I don't
remember,
remember exactly. Yeah, it was
yeah.
something like that. Like I don't remember exactly, but I know it was like Saturday afternoon after everything else has gone off. I
Hmm.
feel like as a young person, I probably wound up watching him by accident, to be honest with you, at first, and then when you watch him and then you see the type of guests that he has on, you kind of get engrossed in it, and you can't help but to sit and pay attention to it, right? But at first, I think it was just a matter of there's nothing else on.
Yeah.
on
Like
a
my
Saturday
grandmother was
afternoon.
watching it or my mother was watching it or something. It might have been a
Yeah, it
rainy
would be something like
Saturday.
yeah,
Rainy Saturday where
yep,
I ain't
something
get
like
kicked
that.
out the house to go outside and play because you know you wasn't allowed in the house on a sunny day. And you would watch it and you would kind of like just look in the background and see it. There wasn't a TV in every room back then. You know, usually it was on the living room TV or maybe you had a kitchen TV or something and they was watching on that.
Right,
Yeah, I remember watching a lot of his episodes. He was real smooth and this was the beauty of it. This was the beauty of his show. He could disagree with a guest, even if it was a
right,
volatile guest, right? But he kept the
right,
energy himself as the host and the leader of that show. He can disagree with a guest and they can just agree to disagree and move on and be cordial about it because that's the
right.
type of energy that he projected in his show.
Right. It was always very respectful. And that's one of the things that I admired about him, and that's why I think I would want to have the conversation with him too, because he had a way of like you said, disagreeing without being disagreeable. Right. He
Hmm.
was still respectful. Like you said, even if he didn't agree, or even if he felt their answer wasn't exactly answering his question, he
Yeah.
was still very. He just kept it respectful, man. Like he wasn't. He didn't distract from the show with theatrics. Like he didn't make himself the subject, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah,
Like
he was
because
always a
sometimes
great gentleman about it. He wasn't
nowadays,
like, what is it,
yeah,
Morton Downey Jr.-esque. And so he
yeah,
was
like exactly. Like it
shock
wasn't like a
jockey. Hmm.
yes, it wasn't that like that tabloid journalism feel to it. And nowadays in this era we're in with like clickbait and where everybody's kind of vying for views, and there's so much media out there, whether it comes to network or like kind of independent. I guess maybe it was a sign of the times he was in, but
Hmm.
he didn't make himself the subject, right? Like he interviewed the person and he made the whole show about that person and their views. He would stick with
Yeah,
the
he
with the
just
topic
reported
and
the
stick with
news.
the
He
person
didn't
that he's
make
interviewing.
himself the news.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if it was nowadays, if you was to do like a new version of it, you wouldn't call it like it is. We'd probably call it straight like that.
Yeah, I guess the modern version of it is straight like that, or
Straight like that.
yeah, what it
Hmm.
is. Instead of
That's a
like it
good
is, we call it what it is,
what it
what it
is.
was.
What's it gonna
What's
be?
it gonna be? Yeah, I
That's
guess
a
we
good
doing our,
first.
our version of it too.
Yeah, that was a good.
Yeah.
That was a good one. That was a good one. That was a good one. I see what you did there. See what I mean?
Yeah, we doing our version of it right now. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So Maine's first entry. There you go. Mine is, and it's funny because you talked about reading. Mine is Walter Mosley. And if
Ooh, good one.
yes, if you've been with us this far, you may have heard me mention how Walter Mosley is my favorite author from my favorite book series, like ever. He was born in Los Angeles. I think he's about 75 now. I think he has over 70 books to his credit, right? And he's known
Right.
for most of his like his detective series. Most popular is Easy Rollins, Devil in the Blue Dress, made
Right.
popular and famous
Yeah.
by Denzel Washington. That's the Easy Rollins.
Great movie.
Yeah, he also had a movie made for TV, HBO movie with his character called Socrates Fortlow. Always outnumbered, always outgunned. That was a three-book series, and that was played by Lawrence Fishburne. It was an HBO movie,
Mm,
and that was a Walter Mosley book. He has a detective, Leonid McGill, and he's based in New York. He has Fearless Jones. He has King Oliver, two of his newer. But he's my favorite author, and he's my favorite writer because of his descriptive writing. And my mother actually turned me on to Walter Mosley's books because she had a lot of his original books in the house from his Walter Mosley series. As well as, when you grow up, we grow up reading Donald Goins and things
right.
Donald
Iceberg
Goins,
Slim.
Iceberg Slim. You go through like the Iceberg Slim phase. And I had stopped reading for a while. When I came home from college, I stopped reading. I was working. I wasn't reading as much. And she put me onto this series, and this book series like really got me back to reading again. I would be on the train just
Right.
devouring these books, just reading. And also the movie. Devil in the Blue Dress was actually a pretty good movie. It was a pretty decent adaptation.
I like that movie a lot. Like
Yeah,
I've never read any of Walter Mosley's books, but I always remember Devil in a Blue Dress as one of the
yeah,
stories that I was really drawn to.
yeah.
And I thought it was incredible. I don't know if it's just because of the way Denzel played the part
Denzel,
of
Don
Easy
Cheadle
Rollins.
is in it.
Don Cheadle was good in that too.
That's the only thing. Like the character of Mouse looks nothing. He looks nothing like Don Cheadle, but he
Okay.
embodied the essence of Mouse. People was like, all right, that's
How
not
was he
what Mouse looks
described?
like.
So
Mouse is light
tell me
skinned with hazel
how is that
eyes.
character?
Mouse was light skinned with
Oh wow.
hazel eyes, and he kind of looked like a mouse. You know those dudes that you know, those slick talking dudes. He kind of
That's
had like a
funny.
mouse-like face. So Don Cheadle, of course, he's dark skinned. He doesn't have hazel eyes, and Mouse was kind of like a pretty boy. He's small. He's a small guy, but he carried a big gun on him, and he was that guy you didn't mess with. A lot of people relate to him because, especially growing up in New York in the Bronx, and we went to private school and we were like straight and
Hmm.
narrow dudes, you always knew a mouse who was like one of your best friends. That 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 if it was like if things really went down, he had your back. You know, he was like, nah, nah, nah,
Yeah.
you don't worry about that. I'll take care of this for you. Um, so I think he's like 15 episodes deep in the book series now, just the Easy Rollins series alone. And like I said, I love it because of his descriptive writing. He made you feel like you were in Los Angeles without ever being in Los Angeles. When I first wrote the book, I had never been to Los Angeles. Even in New
Mm,
York, like he narrates, he tells you the street corners and the name of the streets and everything, and it's not anything
right.
made up. It's so descriptive. I'm like sitting in a room, looking at the books on the wall, looking at the coffee pot on the table. He's one of the greatest writers. I also found out he wrote for Snowfall. He was a producer and he
Yes,
was
yes.
so the
You're
Snowfall.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
remember that. Yeah.
yeah.
They will always give him a shout out. He would give plenty of shout outs too on
Mm-hmm.
like at the end of the show.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember that. He was in the
yeah,
credits all the time.
yeah. So I would have him at a seat at the table just to first of all just to thank him for getting me back to like really enjoying reading again. Because
Right.
once I started reading his stuff, I just started like reading anything. I'm a science geek and I'm a physical trainer, so I just started reading anything health, all these
Hmm.
health books, fitness builds. I just started reading anything and everything. So I
Right.
would thank him first of all. I'd give him a seat and I'd tell him I'm inviting you to sit at my table because I want to thank you for
Right.
like me enjoying reading books again. And also I would just want to just pick his brain about these characters that he has come up with. Like, are these people that you grew up with, that you know? And if so, give me the backstory of these people. Tell me who Easy Rollins really is to you. And did you have a friend named Mouse? And if so, what would they like? What would they do? I totally geek out
Yeah.
just asking him
Yeah.
questions about his writing. So that would be
Yeah.
my
That's a
first
good
guy,
one, man.
Walter Mosley. hmm
That's a
And it
really
fits
good
right
one.
in. Fits
And
right in because you started the show, our episode with talking about how important reading is.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely relevant, man. And I feel like I haven't read his books, but I'm a fan of, like I said, the movie was what had a big impact on me. You know what I mean? As far as like seeing those characters, seeing actually seeing Denzel as a lead, even at the time, was still impactful, man. Like that character to me was awesome. Like I wanted to see more movies that adapted, that character Easy Rollins too.
Yeah.
You know, and then the fact that he's in the credits of Snowfall and he's responsible for some of the writing in Snowfall, thought that was good too. I've always been a fan of his. I just never really read, and I think you and I had talked about this too, man. Like where a lot of my reading is like nonfiction,
Yeah.
and I like to absorb my fiction through other media.
hmm
And you were saying like kind of just the opposite, like how like you like documentaries for your factual information most of the
hmm
time, and then you like descriptive fiction
Yeah. I
when
straight
when you're
read
doing your
fiction.
reading, right? Like so yeah, it's an interesting it's an interesting difference there. But yeah, definitely Walter Mosley is definitely a good one, man. So the next one I thought about, and this is another person that I thought about it even long before like you and I had this conversation about like who would we want to sit down and have a conversation with. And the next person is James Baldwin for me.
Oh,
Um, yeah, for
yes.
years,
You in your
and
bag
I can't
today.
even tell you yeah, I can't even tell you exactly when I kind of got put on to James Baldwin, but it was like I read The Fire Next Time,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of had a big impact on me. And I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's been a long time since I read the book. To be honest with me, to be honest with you, so bear with me. But I think it's kind of like written in the format of like a letter to his nephew, if I'm not mistaken,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of a statement on society at large, right? Like and you know, for those of you that don't know, James Baldwin is an author and an activist, and an essayist, um, and
He wrote
he
Giovanni's
wrote
Room
a
too,
lot of
right?
he wrote Giovanni's Room.
Yeah, he's famous for that.
He wrote Go Tell It on the Mountain,
Mm-hmm.
Notes of a Native Son, which is another really really popular one. I mean, they're all actually popular, but Go Tell It on the Mountain, Notes of a Native Son, Giovanni's Room, like you said, The Fire Next Time, which is the one that had the impact on me. Um, and he was just kind of like one of the defining authors of the civil rights movement. We're talking about like him in the like ranging from the in the 60s to the 70s. He was really impactful, and what impacted me is not only his writing but a lot of interviews and debates that I saw from him, like beyond like what I had read, right? Like he has a couple of famous quotes, right? Like one of them is, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it sounds simple enough, right? But in the context of the times that he's talking about, it's really profound when you think about it, where he's talking about crimes against humanity. And in particular, he's talking about a time during the civil rights movement where African Americans or black people were fighting for their basic rights, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about kind of a denial from like those that will otherwise be allies. He was really hard on allies in terms of making sure that they understood that you can't put like a timetable on other people's human rights. Is
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, and I'm paraphrasing, probably I'm summing up and paraphrasing like everything that I've ever heard from him into that kind of idea. Even if you're my friend, or even if you consider yourself an ally to me, you can't put a timetable when you're comfortable with me getting my rights. I think I've gotten a lot more out of just listening to him speak, actually, like when he's been interviewed or when he's actually done debates. He talks about not knowing whether or not certain institutions were racist, but he would say like, I don't know if they're racist or not, but I know how we're treated by them. He actually went to DeWitt Clinton, by the way. Like he was, so he's
In the Bronx.
he's been, yeah, he spent some time in the Bronx and Harlem. I think he spent his later time in France because it was just like easier from kind of a social perspective to be in France
Mm-hmm.
than it was to be in the United States during his time. One time he was being interviewed, right, and he said that he didn't know if like the school system was racist, but he knew what type of books they gave the children to read, right?
Mm-hmm.
He knew that this separate but equal, like what he meant by that is that the separate but equal was not exactly equal, right? Um, because in the inner cities and the schools where minorities are going or black kids are going, you know, more than likely they're gonna get like the worst resources, right? Like they're gonna get, the hand me down books or the old books. They're gonna get all the old resources, and I think that's what he was trying to get at. Where you don't know if the institutions are racist. You can't say if they are or not, and it almost doesn't matter, right? But you know how people of color are treated by those institutions, and that's what actually matters, right? That's one of the things I got out of it, and I feel like having him sit down for dinner. I would just want to, like I said, like the same as I was saying with Gil Noble. He's just one of those people that I would like to pick his brain and understand his perspective on a lot of things. There's also an interview, or like I don't even want to call it a debate, but there's a conversation
Oh, with Nikki
that you can
Giovanni.
watch online with him and him and Nikki
Yeah,
Giovanni, where he
yeah.
talks about during especially during the time of civil rights and everything that's going on in that time period, like the relationship between black men and black women, right? They get into a lot of good conversation about what women expect from men and vice versa, and how that civil rights movement struggle kind of affects the relationship, right?
Yeah. Nikki went
Um,
deep on that. Not to cut you off real quick, but Nikki went deep on that
yeah,
when
yeah.
she
Go
was
ahead. No,
talking
no, you're
about
not cutting
how
off there.
she was saying how like you go out there, you get beat up on the world and you give the world the best of you and you come home and give me the worst of you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yo, I
Yes,
was
when she
like,
says lie to
damn,
me,
son. Yeah, she was like, lie to me, you
she
lie to
actually
your
says in that
boss, you lie to
conversation, lie to
everybody. She
me.
was like,
Yeah,
lie to
you
me.
lied to, yes.
Yeah, you lie to everybody else, and
Yeah.
lie to you and you show them the best of you,
Wh-
and then you come home, lie to
Yeah,
me,
she's
give me
saying
the
lie to
best of
me.
you. Yeah,
And
yo.
he
Mm.
says I can't lie to you because I love you, right?
Yeah, yo,
And it's
deep.
such an interesting conversation. That part of the conversation is very interesting because I know a lot of us deal with that, and I've heard that same conversation in different forms, right? Like where you go out, even today, like in 2026, man, like we might go to work and we give our coworkers the best of us, so to speak, right? Like we're very
Mhm.
polite, we're politically correct, we kind of are long suffering sometimes, like where you put up with things from your coworkers and your manager, your boss,
Yeah,
your colleagues, and your HR team, whoever it is, right? When you're at work, you put up with a lot of things because you're getting paid to be there, first of all, and you kind of have to suck it up and stay professional. And you're trying not to bring too much of your personality to these, but even though they say like bring yourself to work, there's a certain amount of yourself that you can actually bring to work and still remain professional and still remain comfortable within that space, right? And working in corporate America, I understand that very well, and a lot of people do. But there is a conversation that goes on about like when you come home, you given like you kind of relax and you start to give your family the worst of you because you feel like they should understand, right? Oh, that you love them, right? You should like you don't treat them with the same kind of care and intention and gentleness that you're giving to a bunch of strangers basically that you're working with, right? um I feel like that conversation comes up quite a bit where um I don't know what's right there, right? Because they're both saying something that is
yeah,
equally correct to me.
yeah.
When Nikki Giovanni says lie to me, I get exactly what she's saying. Like she wants you to
Mm-hmm.
bring like pretend for her too. Like the same
Yeah.
way you're pretending out there in the world and you're giving everybody the best face you can,
Mm-hmm.
why don't you give that to your family? The best face you can, like the smiling man, the man that's just stoic and strong and loving and long suffering and really like really kind of like tolerant, just tolerant of whatever happens and understanding and having the conversation in a way that doesn't hurt anybody. You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. You don't want to
Mm-hmm.
be misunderstood. So you're very intentional and gentle with your conversation. You're very intentional and gentle with the way you treat people and the way you approach things when you're at work. Why don't you give at least half of that to your family?
Yeah.
Why can't you give a little bit of that to your wife and kids? Is a fair statement. But at the same time, when I hear James Baldwin give his answer that I love you, so I can't lie to you, he's also correct, right? Like I can't find a wrong answer in a lot of that
Yeah, like this is
conversation,
my
right?
sanctuary. This
I
is
just
my if I
see,
can't be myself here, then you know what I mean?
right, you want to shed it. You got
Even
to
if it's
shed
like
that.
bad, even if it's bad, I can't show my worst side out to the world. I'm supposed to be able to show my worst side to you. Maybe I go a little bit over the top with it, but that's
Right,
me trusting in you so
right,
much. It's almost like a dog, and a dog trusts you when it turns on and it shows you its belly. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like I'm kind of like
right,
submitting my emotions to you, so to speak, as my partner, as my wife, as a person
right.
that unfortunately you're the one that may have to bear the brunt of my pain and my existence out there getting kicked around in the world type thing, and my version of
Right.
loving
And
you
and and
is being honest.
right.
Yeah,
Being honest, right? And it's like also you kind of feel like, when you're around your people that you trust and you love, you should be able to shed the mask, right? Like
yeah,
cuz to a certain extent we're all wearing a mask out there, and when we're out there in the public, whether it's at work or out there in the street, like you're kind of wearing a mask and you are being extra polite to people because the circumstances and the stakes are pretty high, especially at the workplace or when you're out, just out and about. you
hmm
know if you give in and you give all of yourself, the stakes are kind of high. You never know what's going to happen as a result of that, right? But on the flip side of it, Nikki Giovanni makes a point. Why do we treat people that don't mean as much to us better than we're treating the people that we love? That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I can't find an incorrect
Yeah.
statement in either one of these things, but I don't think it's fair all the time to bring your worst self home, right? And you and I had talked about this before. Like, I feel like people have suggested that that's why people need third spaces, right? That's why you need extracurricular activity. That's why you need like a friend group, so you can kind of let off steam. Not to say that you want to treat your friends bad and then let off that steam, and then when you get home you'll be fine with your family, but you need other ways and other outlets in order to like vent or like kind of dissipate some of that frustration. Your family should not bear the brunt. Like you were saying, like they do sometimes, but I don't think your family should bear the brunt of what's happening to you, or whatever frustrations you might be dealing with at work or outside in the world, right? And that's another one
It
that
should
that I,
still
I
be up
paid a
on
lot of
YouTube.
attention to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely on YouTube. So if you're interested in any of this, like what we're talking about here, like look up the entire conversation. The whole conversation could be found on YouTube. He also has a quote too where he says to be black, and I'm paraphrasing this one, but he says to be black in America and be relatively conscious is to be in a rage all the time, right? And at the time period that he's saying this, I understand what he means, right? Because if you're looking at everything that's going on, and in 2026 this might be true too. I'm not sure, but in the 60s and 70s, I could see how, like, if you're viewing things from a lens of like, still fighting for civil rights, still fighting for equal treatment, um, to be conscious would put you in sort of a quiet, even if it's a quiet rage. I could see a person being like kind of constantly in a state of frustration and dissatisfaction all the time, right? Um, so when he says that, or when I see that quote by him, it kind of resonates in a way because I'm like, wow, it feels like he could be talking about a lot of different time periods, but I understand the time period he's talking about is especially kind of relevant. But yeah, so James Baldwin is a person I would want to sit down to dinner with and just pick his brain or just listen. I don't know. I don't even know if I would have a lot of questions. I'll probably just ask him to just tell me what he thinks and
Nah,
just
you would
listen. I would like
100%
to
have a
just
lot of
listen to him
questions. You would
for a long
100%
time,
have a
man.
lot of questions.
Maybe, maybe, but I honestly would try to listen more than I think he's a person I would try to listen a lot more than I talk. I would be conscious of like not talking too much.
James Baldwin taking up a seat at Maine's table. Mine, I kind of have I'm taking up two seats at one time with my next one. It's John Hardy and Estelle Cooper. Those my paternal grandparents.
Ooh, I was about
Yeah,
to ask you like, not
yeah,
familiar.
yeah.
I'm
Not
not
familiar with
familiar.
those. Yeah. So, uh, those I would have my
Yeah,
paternal
oh,
grandparents.
okay.
One of the things that when I was thinking about who I would have want to have dinner with, we always think of the people that we see, like the celebrities and the people that we hear about and who've done great things in history, like kind of the famous people, but we never think about like our superheroes, our personal superheroes that we grew up with, that we learned from. The reason why I picked them in particular is because I didn't know my paternal grandparents very much. I don't have any memories of my grandfather at all, and I have small memories of my grandmother. So like bits and pieces from when she moved up to New York. My maternal grandparents I grew up with. I grew up with here in New York. My grandfather came over from Antigua. My grandmother was Jamaican. My grandfather passed when I was around 9 years old, and my grandmother when I was 29. So I was basically half raised by my grandmother. So I really got to know them. Even that short amount of time with my grandfather passing at 9, I was around him all the time. So I really got the opportunity to know him. And my grandmother, like I said, I was pretty much 30 years old when I lost her. But my father's parents, I don't know. And being one of the youngest people
Mm.
in my family, I'm from a large family. A lot of my older cousins and my older siblings have all these memories of them and they talk about them and I don't. So sometimes I'm like, Dad, man, I wish that I had to I remember granddaddy or I remember grandma. So I would have them at my table because my father, as they know by now, our fathers are both from the South. My father's from a small town in North Carolina. He's the 10th of 13 children. And my grandfather was an orderly, a sharecropper, uh, an auctioneer. So he auctioned off tobacco. He was 25, 25, 35, 35, 35, 30. He did that also. And he was a deacon at the church on the side. And I remember my father saying, he told me, he said, with all them youngins he had, you had to really work multiple jobs. So I would like to just, yeah. So I see pictures. I've seen pictures with me as a baby with him, with him, like while I'm at the house at the family reunion, but I do not
Hmm.
remember him at all. And my father is the splitting image. He's like a photocopy of him. He's like the splitting
Mm.
image of my grandfather. So I get to look at him every day, just about. I get to see him, but I don't get to know him.
Sure.
So um a lot of, like I said in an earlier episode, like the why not, the lesson that my father learned from him
Hmm.
that he relayed towards
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
So I would just want to know, like, you raised 13 kids in the Jim Crow South. Like, I get my father's perspective, but he
right.
was a child growing up and now he's a man. So I get a perspective from him as a child who grew up in it. But the perspective of like a family man, like raising your family in Jim Crow South, you know, like we talked about how we're not even far away from like the Civil Rights Act of 1965. My father drank, and my
Right.
aunts and uncles, they drank from black only water fountains. And I'm just one generation away from that.
Right.
So I can imagine the trials and tribulations that my grandparents had. My grandmother was also part Native American, so we had like some Cherokee blood. A lot of people, blacks with family from the South, you may have some Native American blood, but she had 13 kids, dogs. 13 children. And to make money, they were
Yeah.
sharecroppers, but they also
Yeah.
picked cotton and tobacco. And my grandmother was only, but
Right.
maybe she
Yeah.
was 5 feet tall and she smoked cigarettes. I mean, she chewed tobacco and she drank beer. And she was maybe like probably 110 pounds, soaking wet, 5 foot tall. And I hear all these stories about her like working in the field. She gave birth to my youngest uncle in like working in the cotton or the tobacco fields and went back and finished the day. Like these are like this is
Mm.
like superhuman stuff, from ordinary people.
Yeah.
So I would just want to sit down and just pick their brains. And also, they didn't have a lot of money, so we don't have a lot of pictures from my father as a youngster or my uncles and my aunts. There weren't a lot of pictures because they couldn't afford a camera. So I would just like to know, like, how was it?
Hmm.
How did you get by? What did you do? What was it like raising my father? That's be one of the main things that
Right.
I would want to know. So those two would take up two seats at my table, just to just to sit back and just listen, um, to like what they went through growing up in this small North Carolina town with these 13 children. And not all heroes wear capes, right? That's what they say. That's a
Wow.
cheesy line, but not all heroes wear capes,
Yeah,
hmm
that's actually really good, man. I wouldn't have thought of that. Like you and I have like kind of like you said, like both our fathers are from North Carolina, so we have kind of like that similarity, right? And when you talk
hmm
about it, like my father is the youngest of nine siblings, right?
hmm
And the same thing, like the family used to pick tobacco and stuff like that. So there's a lot of similarities there. And I never knew my paternal grandparents either.
hmm
Um, so my grandmother passed away when giving birth to the 10th of the nine children. Like so my father, he turned out to be the youngest because his younger brother died at birth.
mm
And so did his So did my grandmother. At least that's my understanding. I might have this story kind of slightly wrong. Maybe
Mhm.
maybe it was only the baby that had passed away, but I gotta ask him.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I never met my paternal grandfather or my paternal grandmother either. So I guess we're similar in that way too. But yeah, that's a good one. I didn't think of that, man. But I guess that makes so much sense, man, when you put it that way. And like you said, like not all of our heroes wear capes. Not all
Mhm.
of our heroes are famous,
Yeah.
you know. Um, and then sometimes it's not even about being a hero so much as it is just like a person that you need to influence you, or that you want to get some knowledge from, or you know
Yeah.
they don't have to reach hero status all the time either, you know.
Mhm.
Could just be a regular person that I could get some value out of, you know. But yeah, that's good. That's food for thought too. Um, so my third one is Ruby Bridges,
Mhm.
and
Who's still alive?
you could tell me who's still alive. So
Mhm.
for those of you that don't know, Ruby Bridges is kind of a symbol of the civil rights movement as well, right? Like she was born in 1954, but at 6 years old, she actually was the first student to desegregate William Franz Elementary School, and I believe it's in Arkansas, if I'm not mistaken. So the point of this is that I would actually, sorry, I think this is in. Give me a second, because I gotta read up on this a little bit more before I put my foot in my mouth. I don't want to give you a facts over funny on this one, and I'm gonna actually look it up in a second. But I don't know if anybody out there has ever seen Norman Rockwell
Norman
painting. So
Rockwell.
there's a famous Norman Rockwell painting of a little black girl with some soldiers actually walking her into school, right? Like some marshals are actually walking her into school. And at the time they're walking her into the school because there were so many people protesting in 1960 when she went to start school that they had to protect her going in, right? And so you picture like a 6-year-old girl being the first to desegregate a school. And at the time, I only found out like years later, and I feel like it's in like recent time that I found out that she was actually the only student in the classroom
With the
because
teacher
so
one
many
on one.
people one on one, and I didn't know that part for years. I didn't know that part. I just thought I pictured Ruby Bridges as a 6-year-old going into a classroom, the only black girl there at 6 years old in 1960, and I'm thinking like, wow, that's hard, you know. And then when you see pictures of her going into the school, you see a lot of people protesting. Like at the time, like I heard there was people out there with little baby coffins. Um, you picture like adults are screaming at this little girl, and she has to have for probably over one school year with just her and the teacher that agreed to give her instruction. So I can't really imagine how that would feel, right? Because she strikes me, and her story resonates because of like even what you were talking about with your grandparents, like raising kids in like the Jim Crow South, for instance, is something that I can't fathom, right?
Mhm.
And then as a child, you go through a lot in school, right? Like you and me know, like you go to school, a lot of things happen in school where you might have a bully there, you might not do well one year, like, or you might have a class that's particularly hard, you might have a teacher that you feel is being hard on you. All that stuff happens. All
Mhm.
types of things happen in the school, right? You might not be as good at sports or as good academically as your friends. All types of things that happen in school, and even nowadays with social media and devices and all the stuff that's happening with the internet, a lot of stuff happens at school that you can't even shield your kids from all the time. But imagine being in 1960, being 6 years old, and this is after Brown versus Board of Education in 1954, which was kind of a, a controversial decision because of the fact that some towns decided to shut down their school system rather than integrate. We could get into more detail about that too one of these days, because that kind of spawns the voucher system and using federal funds for private education. But the point is that the other part that resonates with me is that Ruby Bridges is still alive, right? Ruby Bridges has an Instagram account, right?
Yeah, that's
And
crazy.
the reason why that's The reason that that is crazy, she was born in 1954, right? And that was the same year as Brown versus Board of Education, right? That was the actual federal legislation that integrated schools, the public school system. So 6 years later, she's integrating a school for the first time as a 6 year old. But the reason that it is so kind of funny to me that she has an Instagram account, right? Like she's alive and she's on Instagram. That's crazy to me because of the way we treat this history. We treat this history almost like it's ancient, right? When you see pictures of people during this time period of like the 60s and the civil rights movement, you usually see black and white photos, right? And I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
that's on purpose or not, but I feel like it gives the impression that this happened so long ago, right? And that this is ancient history, that is something that we should almost forget about because it would happen so long ago, right? But when you read about Ruby Bridges' story, um, and this is actually in New Orleans, by the way. I apologize. Like this school, the William Franz Elementary School, was actually in New Orleans. And I don't know why I forgot that, but I should have remembered that. But we're treating this history as if it was ancient history, and it's something that we should kind of just put behind us because it was so long ago. But when you
Mm-hmm.
think about the age of these people, like Ruby Bridges is younger than my parents. She's still, fairly. She's relatively young, and from my perspective, she's on Instagram. She's a person that's still doing interviews. So I I don't know. I guess what I'm getting at is that I would like to have a conversation with her to pick her brain too. Like
Didn't she
I
come
wanna
out with a
I would
book
like to
a
understand.
few years ago?
Yeah, she does have a book.
Yeah.
But I would like to sit down with her and have her at my dinner table because I would like to have a conversation with her about like how she felt at the time. And I know she's done interviews on other stuff too, but I would like to kind of sit one on one with her and talk about like what it felt like, or like how much she remembers. Like what were her parents thinking? Like what was her mom thinking when she was going to that school?
Yeah.
Um, I can't even imagine the fear. You know that feeling when you go to school and you're a little nervous, because it's the first day of school.
Absolutely, son. Absolutely. Like my
Now
daughter's
imagine
about to
being
start
being
3K
bussed.
and I'm freaking out.
Yeah, but imagine she's going to be the first to integrate a school.
Yeah, man.
Um, I can't even imagine that feeling, right? Like even to being the parent of a child that's doing that. That seems like something that I just can't fathom. I can't even wrap my mind around the fear and the anxiety of that every single day going through that. People are out there yelling and screaming. Um, and even the people that were bringing out, child-sized coffins. I just can't imagine it, man. So she's one of the people that I would like to talk to. The other two that I that I picked
Yeah,
are not
they
around anymore,
yeah,
unfortunately. So
have to
there's no
exhume them.
way. Yeah, there's no way. But we said
We said
here
dead
or
or alive.
living
Yeah.
or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, living or not, like like who would you want to have a conversation with? So I think Ruby Bridges is a person that I would like to sit down and have dinner with and just have her tell me like from in her own words, like what her life was like. And then even subsequently after that, man, because a lot of things happen as a result of her integrating the school. Like her father lost his job. Um, Her grandparents were still farming in Mississippi and they were forced off the land like that they had been working on. Local businesses refused to serve their family.
Yeah, that's nuts.
So, you know, a lot of residual effects happen, right? And I'm sure there's a lot more, but I can't even imagine at that time period all the residual effects that would happen with her and her family as a result of that, right? I don't know if I would have the courage to send my child to be the first to be the one to integrate a school. What do you think of that? Like if I know we can't really like beam ourselves back to that time, and I can't really imagine it exactly realistically, but I don't know if I would have it in me to let my kid go to be the first to integrate a school under those circumstances.
I like to say if I'm going to give like a donor, like suppose like you need a kidney, right? I'll give you my kidney,
Hmm.
but after you got like 1,000 non-matches. So I don't want to be the I don't want to be the first person to give up my kidney. I don't want to be but because I love you, my brother, I will do it.
Duly,
But
duly
but
noted, Rez.
but
Duly noted.
yeah, son, yeah.
I
But
gotta be hanging on
I'd be like,
by
yo,
a
there's
thread. You know how
nobody
long it
else.
takes to get 1,000 no's?
I'd be like, there's nobody else. You
You get
sure
a
there's nobody
thousand bad
else? There's
matches.
nobody, no more matches, son.
You know
Then
how
I
long that
got
could
you.
take?
Yeah. So somebody's
You know how
like,
long
yo.
it could take to go through 1,000 non-matches?
Well, with today's technology,
Oh
it'll be a
man,
little quicker. But
I
um,
will be hanging on by a
oh,
thread.
you'd be hanging on by
Good
a
to
thread, and
know.
they'd be like, Maine, we have some good news for you today. We found a match. You'd be like, really? Yeah, your boy
Oh
Reds, he's a
man.
match. You'd be like, what? Like, yeah, dog, I told you, I got you, but I don't want to be the first. It would have to be like last resort. Like I said, my daughter's about to start 3K probably this year, and I'm freaking out just sending her to 3K in our neighborhood in the Bronx.
Right,
Um, it's
right.
just you want to protect your child so much. Like there's so like I will do anything to protect my children. And to know that I'm sending a 6-year-old literally into the belly of the beast. I don't know how I'd be able to sleep at night, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like that would I don't know. I couldn't do it, man. I'm gonna be honest. I couldn't do it. I gotta give kudos to her parents because it all worked out. But to be that brave and to have that much faith that everything is gonna work out and be okay, I couldn't do it, bro. I couldn't do it. When they say, yo, who wants to volunteer? I'm to the back. My hands are down, son. Like nobody I'm not putting my hand up. I couldn't do it, man.
Yeah, it's a yeah. I yeah. I don't know. I
yes,
don't
and
think
like
I'm
to
gonna be
be the
honest. I don't know.
first
I don't know if I could go through that. Yeah,
in that climate,
I don't know if I could go through that.
six.
Yeah,
Nah, bro. I don't know, man. That's
yeah.
real tough. But also, listen, her family had to go through just as bad of an ordeal outside of her going to the school. Like they were basically outcasts of the community, like you said. Nobody wanted to serve them. Her
Right,
father lost his job.
right,
Imagine how cruel an adult can be to a child. Now imagine how cruel an adult can be to their peer. So
right, right.
um their her parents
That's exactly
probably
right.
it was torture, man. It was torturous. So shout out to
and
them
and
because
and they
it is
definitely
something
had
I couldn't
support
do.
from yeah, and I'm sure they had support from their the black community and the civil rights community, right? Like they definitely had support, but I still don't know if I would be able to to have my child do that, and I don't know, it would be too nerve-wracking. It would be, the anxiety would be different. And like you said, it's one thing, it's kind of one thing for me to go through something, but like you said, like you want to protect your kids so much that I feel like the anxiety of that and the feeling that I would get from that would be overwhelming. Like I don't know, I couldn't do that every day, in the
Yes.
name of getting through the school year. Like I don't know, it's hard enough to get kids through a school year under like kind of relatively normal circumstances, but
Hmm.
that is kind of like extraordinary, man. Like, but that's again, that's the reason why I would want to sit down and talk to her, because she's still around, man. Like she's still like, she's lived through that and made it all the way to now. Um,
I'm not
and
gonna lie,
I
as
would
a
want to know
parent,
like what goes through her mind.
I would probably want to have one of her parents at the table with it too. Like, yo, tell me, I have to know what it was like for you as well.
I don't know if
Hmm.
her parents are honestly, I don't even know if her parents are still with us. They would be
Yeah, I
kind
know,
of
but
old,
neither is James
if they're
Baldwin.
still with us.
And that's
Yeah, that's a fact. I give you that one. I give
yeah.
you
So
that
we
one.
just
You
have to
gotta, yeah.
exhume.
If you can have anybody at the table,
Yeah,
yeah. If you can
anybody,
have
dead or
anybody at the
alive.
table, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. Like I would want to know what her parents were thinking about at the time too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like she's, and I feel like, what, this is possible too. It is possible for us to talk to her. Like, like
Yeah.
if she would want to talk to us, we should reach out to her
Yeah.
and
You
see
know
if she
what?
wants
We
to
should.
be on the show, at least for like a little segment, even for a few minutes, just to talk for like a little segment would be pretty interesting. But I'm sure she gets paid to speak and all that
Yeah.
stuff, man. Like,
We have no
I
money.
think we got to get a little more famous. Yeah, we like maybe maybe our following has to get up. We got to build up some more following before we get
Mm-hmm.
Ruby Bridges to talk to us. But I don't know, like, if Ruby Bridges listens to this in any way or anybody knows.
Yes.
could get us in contact with Ruby Bridges, let her know like we would love to have a conversation, and just pick her brain and just understand like that time period and get some more context for what was happening at that time.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good one too. That's another good. There's some good conversations going on at your table.
Yeah,
I
I would
have.
try to listen more than I speak.
Yeah, I have one last one. I have Leroy Robert
Yeah, go ahead.
Satchel Paige.
Ooh, good one,
Yeah,
good one.
yeah. Jackie Robinson, of course, is the most famous black baseball player by desegregating the major leagues in April. I think it's April 15th, 1947. Yeah, so he was the first. But we forget about the others that came up after him. Satchel Paige was the seventh, I believe, to come up to the MLB. He was also the oldest rookie ever. He came up at 42 years old, and he was the oldest
Mm,
baseball player ever at 59 years old. So he played pro ball until he was
mm,
59 years old. Um, yeah, there's a movie with I think Lou
that's
Gossett
amazing.
Jr. played him in like Don't Look Back. But I would want to talk to him because what many people don't know is that Jackie Robinson was not the most talented player in the Negro Leagues by far, and he was talented. But
Mm,
he was the one that they handpicked because he had the best temperament to handle
mm,
what he was going to face. These like Josh Gibson and Satchel Paige and a lot of these other players from the Negro leagues, they didn't believe that they had the temperament to come and to integrate, to be the first to integrate in all white MLB. They wouldn't be able to take the heckling and all of the things that Jackie Robinson had to go through. So that's why he was the first. And that shows that he was really Atlas. He had the world on his shoulder because if it's not for him, Satchel Paige never makes it up to the top, makes it to the MLB at 42 years
mm.
old. And that
Right,
shows how good he is
right,
because they didn't want to integrate anyway, but to take a guy at 42 years old, that shows how good of a pitcher he actually was in his prime. So he easily could have been the first one to be called up to the MLB. Also, like just to know about like that barnstorming era. Imagine being really good at something, being great at something, probably better than
mm,
95% of the entire other league that they were up against, that but you didn't get a chance, but then you start your own, bro. You
right,
start your own league, and you start barnstorming, and you start drawing and making money and becoming famous. And then even there's been times where these
right.
guys have actually played against the MLB teams and have won, some of the old Negro League teams. So I would just want to
Yeah.
know what it was like. And I don't know if you ever seen the movie Bingo Long Traveling All Stars and Motor Kings? I think it was basically
No.
loosed on Satchel Paige. Like Lou Gossett Jr. played him in like Don't Look Back. Um, but there was a
Mm,
movie, Bingo Long Traveling All Stars, and it was about the barnstorming of the Negro Leagues back in the 30s. And it was
mm.
starring Billy D. Williams, James Earl
I feel
Jones,
like I've seen.
and Richard Pryor
Yeah,
was
this
in it
sounds
too.
familiar.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen little clips of this, but never really knew the name of it, or never stopped to watch the whole thing.
Yo, the
I've
movie is
definitely seen
hilarious.
them.
The movie is hilarious, man.
Yeah,
Richard Pryor tries to break into the MLB by claiming he's Cuban. So he took on like this Cuban persona, so that he could try to break into the MLB.
that's
Yeah,
funny.
is a funny movie, but I would want to know what was it like just to create something because you were excluded from something, just to create something of your own and be super uber successful at it, and to know that you're better than the majority of the other league but not get the opportunity, and then get the opportunity
Right.
as a senior citizen basically, especially in his forte, and then still like he won
Yeah,
the World
playing till you're
Series with the
59 is
so,
incredible.
yeah, and he got up, oldest rookie ever, 42, and he won the World Series with I believe it was the Cleveland Indians that he got called up with. He was an all-star. he won like 120 games. His ERA was like 2.3. It was crazy. So I would just want to pick his
And
brain
it's
and
almost like
learn.
his second career too. Like, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. By that time, this is his second career. You know,
Yeah, man. And he's an old man.
he's basically a retiree. Like he's a retiree age in terms of sports, right? Like,
Hmm.
and he still wins a World Series and still becomes an All Star and still wins over 100 games, right? Like, so that's incredible. It's like superhero status, you know.
Yes,
And
man.
that's an interesting one because it would be interesting to hear from them in terms of like what they felt later on about the potential for the Negro League to kind of live on if they hadn't been called up to the MLB. Because
Yeah.
sometimes it's just one of those what if scenarios. Like what if none of them ever went to the MLB and all you have is the Negro Leagues and eventually like what would the Negro Leagues have evolved into if it hadn't been for like an integration of the MLB, right? Like
Yeah.
sometimes that crosses my mind, but who
Yeah.
knows?
One of the
But
big what
it's just,
ifs.
it's just something interesting to think about because, like you said, yeah, it's one of those big what ifs because you're talking about like incredible athletes that, like you said, eventually they would go on to become like famous and become the draw in their own right. So I wonder what that might have evolved into later on if it had stayed that way for a little while. But
Yeah. And you're
so
talking about
it's just
ownership as
a little
well.
jump through for thought.
So a lot of the players were like coaching
Right,
and they were owning their teams while they were barnstorming. So they were like owners too, a lot of them. So imagine that. And shout out to the MLB also for finally,
right,
finally accepting and acknowledging the Negro League statistics into the um, Baseball Hall of Fame. So they finally acknowledged those stats. Like Josh Gibson has like 900 and something home runs. They started acknowledging the old Negro League stats as well as
right.
the MLB, acknowledging the fact that this league existed with these players who were just as good and probably better than the players that they had in that era. So Leroy Robert Satchel
Right.
Paige, he takes up my last seat at my table.
That's a good one.
Hmm.
That's a really good one.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't have anybody else,
All
man.
right,
My table is full.
your
I do have
table.
like well, actually, I shouldn't say that. Like, I have I'm not gonna go too long on this one, but I have like an honorary seat at my table
Hmm.
for um for Gordon Parks. If no one else can make it, I guess. And
Yes,
all the respect in the world for
man
Gordon
of many
Parks, who
talents,
kind of activist and photographer,
photographer.
man of many talents, filmographer, also civil rights movement icon. Um, but yeah, I'm not gonna say much more about that because he wouldn't be at the table. He gets a special shout out though. He passed away in 2006. He was born in 1912, actually. Passed away in 2006. Famous photographer. Highly recommend. Like a lot of his images are available online. Google Gordon Parks when you have time, and you'll see a lot of his images. Just cultural significance in terms of like artwork and his contribution to photography. Like where there's civil rights, fashion, celebrity, you name it, political figures, stuff like that. Like he has a lot of iconic artistry in terms of photography that you can look up.
Yeah. So there you have it. Table's full.
The table's full.
So this concludes our latest episode 1 of season 2 of the Gen Expertise podcast. Shout out to our now day 51s. Shout out to our day ones and anyone in between. And I guess you can almost say like shout out to our new day ones because our people who like this is the first episode of so shout out to all of
So
y'all.
is this episode 51 or is this episode 1 of season 2?
I don't know. I think we should do it as
How do
episode
we
1 of season 2, I think. You think so? No, you know what?
Yeah, all
No,
right.
no. Maybe we should do it because we do have a goal of 100. So maybe we should do it like a Roots album. You know how Roots all their albums are all numbered. So then it's like their first
Yeah.
album is 1 through 13, then the next album is 14 through 20, and then so on, so on, and so forth.
Right. So we're
So
gonna call this season 2, but still episode 51.
but still episode 51. We're gonna do it like the Roots, son. Like the Roots, how their
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
discography,
yeah, yeah,
you know? And
yeah. Shout out to the Roots. Yeah.
as usual, and as always, shout out to our day one, who's once again our day one. So yeah, if that makes sense. Shout out to you.
it, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. And you know what, man, since we come this far.
Since we are prolific,
That's
still.
right, my brother from another mother. We are prolific. We gonna still
You're
hit
still
now.
prolific.
Still prolific. We hitting you with this season 2 work now. So we will see you again. Same Gen X time, same Gen X place. The only thing that's changed is the season. Peace and power to the podcast.
Power to the podcast. Peace.